Fever dream. A very strange experience or situation, usually a bad one, that seems like a dream rather than something that would actually happen in real life. This is without a shadow of a doubt the most accurate way to describe watching Baki.
What the hell? Oh my god, no way.
For years now, the hood's greatest minds have been trying to debunk the nonsensical nonsense of the anime that we call Baki. The Regular Show, The Boys, The Amazing World of Gumball. None of these shows even come close to the amount of bullshit that goes on in Baki. Like bro, you know when anime is cooked, when you ask people what the show is even about and they reply it's about invisible food, like and still, for whatever reason, like crack to a homeless man, I cannot stop coming back to this peak show. But today I'm going to be covering the Baki prison arc. So let's cut the yapping and get straight to the meat and potatoes. Before we can truly talk about the prison arc, it's only natural the season begins with your monthly dosage of yujiro glazing. The first episode starts off with this press conference of this one member of the US military explaining how their entire platoon got smoked by one singular elephant. But to be fair to them, this wasn't just your regular elephant. If you look at the size of this elephant, this might be Zunisha. And when you start reading the stats, you already know we are dealing with some nonsense straight out of Jurassic Park. And to make things even worse, we find out even though they deployed like an entire military unit with tanks and bazookas, they still couldn't take down Dumbo himself. That was until the most glazed character of all time pulled up, one-shot the elephant and then started cooking it. Literally.
The nigga swung his body to the side, and that's how my shit was open.
This man Yujiro is simply a different beast. If he had to fight Gojo, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow won the fight because he rearranged every single molecule in his body in order to bypass infinity or something crazy like that. Now that's over, we spin back to Baki, who was just told by Stridum that Yujiro managed to defeat a roided up elephant. Baki and Yujiro are both basically preparing for a Sasuke vs Naruto type 1v1. So now Baki needs to go and train some more. So what do you think Baki does to get in some training? Does he A, find a master to train him? Does he B, build his own hyperbolic time chamber? Or maybe C, enter a fighting tournament? Or what about D, kidnapping George Bush? Ding ding ding, you guessed it, Baki decides to kidnap George Bush, the president of the United States. You cannot make this up. Look at this freeze frame. This man Baki snatched the president of the US at the tender age of 17. What were the Secret Service doing? If I was stationed to protect the president and a 17-year-old Japanese kid snatched him while I was on duty, I'm hanging up the badge and I'm retiring. And the craziest thing about all this is that the whole reason Baki did this is because he wants to get sent to Arizona State Prison to fight someone named Unchained. Fast forward and Baki gets transported into Arizona State Prison, which is basically a prison where all the most dangerous and strongest prisoners in all of America are held. Baki gets taken to go and meet Mr. Unchained, but as they go deeper and deeper, it looks like we're in the middle of Arkham Asylum. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they had Joker locked up in here with Diddy. They eventually get to the final room and the cell block is looking like a 5-star hotel. This really looks like the hotel where Zack and Cody used to chill. Damn, I'm really hitting on status, huh? We finally get to meet Mr. Unchained, and bro, this black behemoth is 6'9", 0% body fat, pure muscle. Like look at bro. And you know what the craziest thing about all this is? He's based off a real life person named Sergio Oliva, who once won Mr. Olympia. Baki and Biscuit get to yapping, and Biscuit basically explains to Baki that he ranks number 1 out of the 4,071 prisoners in the prison. So if Baki wants to have a fight against him, he first needs to take on the number 2 guy in the prison. But Baki is like,
Oh. Fuck all that! Nah, ain't no fuck all that.
And tries to hit Biscuit with a Falcon Punch. Now I must remind you that this is the same Baki who fought a giant praying mantis and won. But Biscuit over here not only ate the punch, he took 0 damage and told Baki to scram. Baki is now being taken to his cell where he'll meet the number 2 guy in the prison. There are 4 bunk beds, so he has a 1 in 3 chance of guessing who the number 2 guy is. The first person he meets is none other than Iron Mike Tyson. You cannot make this up. Like when I saw this for the first time, I was genuinely flabbergasted. First President Bush and now Mike Tyson. Baki suspects that Mike is the number 2 Biscuit was talking about, but Mike reveals that he doesn't even make it into the top 10. What sort of demons are being housed in this jail for Mike Ear Snatcher Tyson to not even be considered top 10? They must have All For One, Sukuna, and Reverse Flash down here or something. The next cellmate Baki meets is this literal Goliath, an actual human giant capable of dunking on Yao Ming. But even this guy is not the real number 2 because he walks over to the lockers and wakes up the actual number 2 who just looks like a normal guy in comparison. Baki and Guevara tee up, but a god interrupts them, and this is when we learn that the number 2's aura is off the charts. He basically like owns this prison. He's like his own version of Mr. Unchained. He does what he wants, when he wants, and the guards don't even care. It's gotten to the point where the prisoners would rather disobey the guards than disobey him. He's above the law. Some dumb sumo wrestler decides to pick a fight with number 2, and let's just say he got violated beyond belief. Does it make sense? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I don't even think it's scientifically possible, but that doesn't stop it from being tough. After picking a fight with Guevara and getting thrown into solitary confinement, Baki gets a lore update on number 2. Turns out Guevara is the president of his own little country, but got locked up because he was a pirate. Bro was basically a Somali warrior, the Luffy of the Baki world, and he was doing all this while he was only 17. One day he saw a bunch of rich people come to the island and exploit the locals, and he wanted to set his people free, so he created an army of super soldiers who were trained in weaponless combat. But you know, there's this one country who doesn't like it very much when you try to become independent. I'm of course talking about the US.
It seems the cries for independence are only getting stronger. Just send some airplanes down there. Have them make a couple of low flybys. You know, real close to the ground, and then bam! I mean, one shot would be enough to take out the whole island.
Is this nigga serious?
So George Bush literally says that they should just bomb the island into submission. But before he can even give the final order, it turns out one of Guevara's men has infiltrated the White House. This really got me thinking, bro, like... Where is the Secret Service? The president has been violated like 5 times in the span of 3 episodes. They must have Renji, Green Lantern and Yamcha leading the forces. Bush ends up getting a FaceTime call, and it's none other than this man Guevara in front of the president's house, vlogging like he's prime Logan Paul. And just like Logan, he's about to film an atrocity because he pulls up on his wife and kids after single-handedly violating the Secret Service again. This man is actually a Hall of Fame menace to the nation. So now we are up to date with the law. We actually find out even more law. And for whatever reason, when I first watched through the season, I don't remember them mentioning this, but Yujiro Hanma, Oliva Biscuit, and Jun Guevara have so much aura that the American government monitors their every move with the use of 24/7 satellite surveillance. Do you understand how much of a threat to the world you have to be monitored by satellites? They are treating these guys like Avengers level threats. We go back to prison and find out that the boxing commission has paid the head of the prison to prevent Mike Tyson from returning to the sport because they don't want to see an ex-convict with a belt fresh out of prison. And if you know anything about current boxing, it honestly doesn't even sound that crazy. They hired these zesty triplets called the Mouth. One is the lip, one is the tooth, and one is the tongue. So they pull up on Mike Tyson to give him the Jujutsu Kaisen special.
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back!
This is really brutal. They're jumping Mike Tyson like he's Mojito. But just as it seems like the giant has fallen, Guevara rolls in like Sonic the Hedgehog, ready to squabble. Or that's what I thought. Because you know what? Let me just roll the clip, bro. This is exactly the type of random nonsense I was talking about. Because tell me why bro just whipped out his schmeat, his pee-pee, his willy, and started peeing on these guys. What was even going through his head when he did this, bro? You can never predict what's going to happen next in this show. After going for a number 1, Guevara just lies down, allowing himself to get stomped out in 4K. But after getting stomped out, he gets up unfazed and damn near goes Super Saiyan after taking off his durag. Number 2 is finally taking it serious and bodies this guy so hard he flew up 12 feet in the air, and without a second's hesitation, his own flesh and blood peed his pants and hit the jets. Bro really got to step in. Look at the form. We cut back to the prison cell where Baki asks to fight Guevara after he fights Oliva, but this demon Oliva was listening the whole time and begins squeezing the steel door like it's made of paper. Guevara and Oliva have the face-off of a lifetime, but before they can get to boxing, Baki steps in trying to talk crazy.
You ain't never gonna be shit. Your mama wasn't shit. Your daddy wasn't shit. You think you gonna be some
like
shit?
an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air.
and just ends up getting sent to the Shadow Realm. They really low broed him. Oliver explains how he fights for his girlfriend, so you'd think his girl gotta be some 10 out of 10, the finest, most kind-hearted maiden to ever grace the lands. But come fight day, Oliver pulls up with this giant mattress, and I was ready to see what the strongest man's girlfriend would look like. Just for her to look like a hibernating polar bear, Gear 4 Luffy, a 2011 Honda Civic, Queso. This is diabolical. We are lucky Dr. Umar hasn't watched this show. He'd have some words for my bunny hopping brother Oliver.
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever.
Now we got that jump scare out of the way. Number 2 and Mr. Unchained get ready for their fight, and the pre-match shenanigans have already begun because Oliver rips out his tux so fast it's still standing upright. I don't care what anyone says, this is at least plus 5,000 aura. They just had to play a game of losers lose, where you gotta hold on to opposite ends of a handkerchief and punch the opposition until one of you lets go. Guevara starts off with a barrage of punches like Batman catching someone jaywalking, but Oliver still manages to hold on. They continue this stupid matchup, trying to like one up each other by holding it less and less. Like, I don't know, it was kind of stupid. After like 10 minutes of glazing each other, Baki says what everyone was thinking and says, yo, let's cut the dilly-dallying, let's cut the yapping and just get to boxing. So Baki literally goes to Oliver's pet whale and lays up with her in her bed. This causes Oliver and Guevara to finally take it seriously. Oliver grabs Guevara's hand and palm strikes him so hard he starts spinning like a Beyblade. I really thought the fight was over, but we forgot that Guevara has his own like Zoro Super Saiyan transformation whenever he takes off his durag. They square up again, but Guevara is simply outmatched. Before we go back to the squabble at hand though, we get a cutaway to President George Bush like driving his car, which you know seems normal until we realize that this man Yujiro is in the back seat. There is no way this guy really turned the President of the United States into his personal chauffeur. Guevara and Mr. Unchained tee up for one final bout. Oliver uses Gear 2nd to amp up his punch, and Guevara uses literal Nen to boost his stats. They clash and Guevara hits Oliver with some serious punch and has the president literally kneeling in front of him. But when I saw Yujiro glazing, I knew something was wrong, and as we cut back to what really happened, it's become apparent that Oliver folded Guevara like a lawn chair, had his legs perfectly straight like an acute angle.
Up on the tables or what?
Oh yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
With Oliver crowned the winner, he grabs his polar bear and goes back into his mansion. Fast forward and Baki gets put in solitary confinement after a series of events took place, which I will not be discussing on YouTube. Just know that this is probably the type of freaky stuff that was going down in them Diddy parties.
No, ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah,
Anyways, Oliver and Baki meet up again in his cell, and Baki basically tells Oliver that he's ready to run the once, anytime, any place, and hits bro with the Itadori special. But this is Biscuit Oliver we're talking about, and he hits Baki with the fin slap and smacks him through a whole wall. The final battle finally gets going, and Unchained is really juggling Baki around. This fight is basically like little bro versus big bro. Baki is really getting toyed with, but just when it seemed like the fight was over, Baki gets his anime MC power up and finally acquired the demon back. I think the funniest thing about this fight is the fact that there was technically no cameras around to record the fight, so they have people in the prison describe the fight, and this guard over here is talking like the Hunter x Hunter narrator.
He was throwing punches, he was throwing combinations, and the art of punches is when you could throw two punches that sound like one. He was throwing punches, you can hear them, there were two but they sound like fucking one punch.
The tide of the squabble is about to turn because Baki speed blitzes Oliver, practically knocking him out. And to make things even worse, the guards go to the security camera to pull up the instant replay, and this is foul work. If I get dropped and people try to do a post-game analysis, I'm gonna have to fight the people with the footage. But still, even after getting real-life speed blitzed, Mr. Unchained gets back up and pulls out his own trump card, because tell me why Oliver rolls up his body like he's a Bakugan, like... This show is not serious, man. Like... They'll really animate some stupid stuff like this and expect us to just like to eat it up. Baki tries to attack Bakugan Oliver, but to top of the nonsense, Oliver on some Pac-Man timing literally eats Baki. After everyone used their specials and officially run out of mana, Baki and Oliver agree to stand and bang, no diddy. After seeing this fight, I have officially become a Baki glazer. This is the manliest anime of all time. What is Baki about? Baki is about life. These men were there standing and banging, all for the love of the game. This is beautiful. This is exhilarating. This is magnificent. A true work of art. Baki is officially crowned the winner, beating the strongest man in America. And what does he do after? He grabs a bike and decides to bike from Arizona all the way back to Japan. Baki is really the J. Cole of anime. Nah, this show is actually goated, bro. I don't care what anyone says. It kind of reminds me of JoJo's. If you made it to the end, please drop a sub. I'm trying to hit 100k subs by the end of the year. Join the Discord, and you know what, that's about it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting me all the way. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna start posting more. The uploads are gonna start flying now. Life just been cooking me. Peace.